Hello and welcome everyone to our first teaching of today's retreat. This is the last Sunday of May, 2026. In these teachings, I like to give some advice and some tips on practice, which I'm going to do today. I often have students that come to me and ask, they'll say, I've been meditating for quite a while. And I think that I should be doing better with maintaining my focus, that I should be able to stay on my breath a bit longer than I do. I still have an issue with mind wandering. And I think advanced students think the same. I think the same with myself. So sometimes I do pretty good. Um, so I wanted to address that a little bit. And of course, there's many reasons for this. One of the things to look at always are the five afflictions and the five faults, as they call them. It's interesting. I think the five hindrances, I think those come from the Theravada, and the five faults come from the Mahayana. I just recently realized that. I didn't know why there were two sets. And they're both useful, so that's why we share those. You can find those on our website and in our they're in our meditation books as well. But besides that, there's other things we can do. And one of the things that I think one of the problems most people face is that initially they're never quite focused enough upon the object of meditation. Properly said, they don't have a proper engagement with the object of meditation to begin with. So, and this is for several reasons, one of them being clarity. So, like a lot of things, we think we're doing things, and we're like, yeah, I'm kind of doing that, and I'm doing that, and I'm doing, but we're always kind of doing it, right? Even when we think we're doing it, just how invested are you? How clear is it? How really engaged with your full awareness are you? This is something that's a problem. So most of us will go through meditation. Yeah, yeah, I'm following the instructions. I'm following my breath. I'm doing, but again, it's kind of piecemeal. And when that happens, it's really easy for the brain, the mind, to just move to something else. If we're not fully engaged right away at the very beginning, it's really hard to maintain it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. How do we fully engage initially and properly with the object of meditation? Well, we don't have to go far because the Buddha spelled it out for us. The Buddha, in the last three aspects of the Eightfold Path, made it clear. The last three are effort, mindfulness, and concentration. These three are the tools used to properly and initially engage with the object of meditation, as well as that which helps us to maintain it, right? Okay, so right away, there's just a bit of effort that's involved, right? When we're gonna engage with the object. Sometimes when I meditate on my own, I like to kind of shake off my dullness. I'm thinking like there must be occasions that we're about to do something. Sometimes it's physical. Maybe you're about to take a test or you're about to do something, and we kind of shake off our bodies and we just try to shake off that dullness and really wake ourselves up, right? I think everybody knows how we all kind of do that funny thing. And we'll open our eyes really wide and we'll shake our head and we'll try to really become focused. And I guess this is the way that we somehow use these physical mannerisms to gain a stronger focus and a stronger attention or concentration. So this is this effort part, right? So getting into meditation, you gotta have a jolt of effort at the beginning. And of course, that effort, there's an intention. We're doing that so we can approach our meditation in an awakened way. And we like to say in the Sangha, we talk about the difference between meditating and vegetating, which is kind of an inside joke. But the idea that vegetating is when yes, we're following the instruction. Yes, we're sitting straight, but we're, bare minimum, right? You're really not meditating. You're just kind of going through the motions. It's kind of like doing yoga with a candy bar in your hand, right? Yeah, I'm stretching, but I'm also eating my candy bar, right? That's kind of vegetating. Anyways, so we start with some effort. We pump ourselves up. Okay, come on, it's meditation time. Let's really put some joyful, soft effort into it. If we're going to meditate, let's have a good one. And then we come in with mindfulness. So mindfulness is what takes that effort, it directs it, it's what sustains that feeling, right? It's what's going to help keep our mind on the object of meditation. And then concentration comes in, which is the eighth of the Eightfold Path. And concentration is reaching that sustained concentration that you are on the object of meditation and you have all the intention to stay there, right? Now, we're not tough on ourselves. We do this, we're okay, we're accepting if we fall away from that concentration. We're not judgmental. We come back, but we do want to have that intention. We want to bring that effort and that mindfulness in to try to sustain that concentration, right? So, this is the Buddha's advice on exactly what we're talking about here, how to initially engage with the object of meditation and how to maintain it and sustain it. Okay, so besides that, I have a practice that I came up with, having quite a few students. Nowadays we have such an epidemic of ADHD in the world, and people that have similar symptoms, whether they're diagnosed with it or not. But and I think, of course, with phones and scrolling and attention deficit is a problem in the modern world. So students were asking me for help, and I put on my thinking cap and tried to come up with something for everybody. And I came up with this interesting technique for meditation, a solid meditation. And I'm calling it meditating on breath cycles. And so one of the problems that we all have in meditation, and we've talked about this before, this invisible bar of success that we all have, even though nobody's ever told you this is what success is. In SBT, we don't push any kind of an idea of this is where you should be. Nevertheless, I think it's human nature for us to all have a bar of what we determine is success, what we determine is doing well in our meditation. And I think one of the problems is most people feel they're not living up to that expectation in meditation. So many people say, I've tried meditation, I can't do it. Clearly, they've set a bar that they don't believe they've reached. They believe they failed and they stopped meditating. Where serious meditators know how silly that is, that that's the reason why you need to meditate, because you can't hold it. What's the that funny adage that says claiming that you can't exercise because you're out of shape is a terrible argument, right? It's the same thing with meditation. Claim you can't meditate because you can't sit still and control your thoughts. That's why we meditate. Um, so nevertheless, we all have this bar, and I tell you right now, everybody has to get rid of that bar. It does you no good. All it does is bring frustration into your practice. We do the opposite here. We practice acceptance. We realize that every time we sit down and every time we sit anywhere doing anything, the mind is different in every situation. This is something meditators learn very quickly. The mind is a process that's in constant change. It's never the same anytime. Even if you're doing the same activity for the 100th time, guarantee you your mind is slightly different. So in meditation, we really understand that and we just realize, hey, this is the nature of mind that I'm working with today. There's no bar. There's just love and acceptance. We love our minds, we accept our minds, we work with our minds, right? Kind of like having an unruly child. There just isn't a point where you end up hating them. You can't. You got to love them, you got to work with them, and regardless of the situation, you work with the situation. And you hope one day they'll be better behaved. A lot like I hope my mind will be better behaved one day in the future. Okay, anyways, that's the silly introduction I wanted to share. I'd like to now get on to the practice that I'm talking about. Before beginning the meditation, I just wanted to talk a little bit about it. So, I had this idea. So we're talking about that bar and people claiming, I can't go more than a couple minutes without a thought coming in. I don't have the ability to meditate. So I was thinking, how do we get rid of that bar? And I was thinking the problem is often the duration is of what people are judging themselves by. The thought that nearly anybody can sit still for a breath or two and follow and focus on the breath without a thought coming in. The problem is people are thinking they should be able to last quite a while before a thought comes in. So it has a lot more to do with duration rather than ability of sitting, following the breath. So then I thought, well, why don't we get rid of that bar completely? So let's do the opposite. So in this meditation, we focus on following our breath for one breath cycle at a time. We just turn our aim directly from, some people think they're supposed to be able to hold their awareness for a 20-minute meditation. That's impossible for a beginner. It's nearly impossible for an advanced meditator, but they don't know that, right? So let's do the opposite. Let's make it really short. So in here, uh, we meditate on a breath cycle. A breath cycle is an in breath and the following out breath, right? That's one breath cycle. In and out. Easy, right? Okay, so let's try a little experiment. We're all sitting here, eyes open, we're not meditating. Let's see if we can all focus and 100% focus on our breath for one breath cycle. And I mean, you're not thinking about after a retreat, you're not thinking about lunch, nothing else. 100% focus on the breath. Let's try for one breath cycle, right? Are you ready? Go. Now, I'm guessing everybody here is saying, yeah, pretty easy, right? Everybody can do a breath cycle. Let's try two breath cycles in a row. Ready? Go. In breath, out breath, another one. Were you able to keep your focus 100% on the breath? I think everybody could do two. Let's try three in a row. Ready? Go ahead. In breath, out breath, in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. And I think almost everybody's probably capable of three. Now, many of you would be capable of four or five. Some people with very calm minds, even if they're not meditators, might be able to do 10. Meditators might be able to do 20, 30. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about meditating on breath cycles, right? Now, I don't want you to count them because I don't want to turn this technique into a cerebral thing where you're focused on the concept of breathing and you're counting them. I want this to remain in the realm of feeling. We're feeling the breath. We're not thinking about breathing. We're not visualizing the breath. Nothing mental, a feeling thing, right? I want you to feel the breaths and just keep your focus on the feeling, on the sensation itself. And I think counting gets in the way. It doesn't matter how many breaths you can hold it for. You could just kind of estimate, right? So it's just for a while. I was able to hold my breath for quite a while, right? Okay. And then, so that's basically the technique, as easy as can be, right? But there's another aspect that I wanted to share, something that I call perfect meditation moments. Now, a perfect meditation moment is a succession of or string of breath cycles, of perfect breath cycles, meaning that when you're in that breath cycle or when you're in that meditation moment of a handful of breath cycles, there's there's zero conceptual chatter, mental distractions. Clearly some physical distractions, external distractions could come up. A dog could bark, but just general distractions are free. We're able to do 100% focus on the breath, no distraction, no mind wandering, no thoughts coming in. Um, and we call these perfect meditation moments, right? Now, it might, a moment like that might only last for 3 breath cycles or 4 or 5. So, anyways, a grouping of perfect breath cycles we call a meditation moment. And as you get better at this, you go from focusing on perfect breath cycles, you lengthen the time into perfect meditation moments where you're you're beautifully in that state for 3, 4, 5, 6 breath cycles. Okay, and with and then this practice can, well, I'll let you read that. I have a text that'll go along with this, everybody, so you can read about it. And then mastery. Once mastered, your experience of perfect meditation moments becomes so familiar that you can sustain them effortlessly for extended periods, both on or off the cushion, leading to the development of single pointed concentration. So that's what this practice is. And this practice is good for advanced practitioners as well, those that are trying to work with single pointed meditation leading to the jhana states. Something, this kind of a practice can really be beneficial. Does everybody kind of get the practice? And so I thought we would do a meditation. Tenzin Wam was going to lead us through it. And the meditation is guided, but I just wanted to share it with everyone. In situations for myself, if my mind's in a really busy state, especially if I've just been writing, it's really hard for me to stop that creative flow. This practice is extraordinary. And it really helps me to settle down the mind. This is also a meditation practice that I'd like to teach to people with ADHD in a future class. So, anyways, with that said, would you like to take us through meditation, Miss Wammo?
Sure. Thank you, Venerable Tarpa. Okay, so today we'll be engaging in calm abiding meditation on breath cycles. And this is a wonderful technique for those with very busy minds. In this meditation, we focus our attention on one breath cycle at a time, from the beginning of an in-breath to the end of its corresponding out-breath. The benefit of this technique is that rather than trying to sustain our attention for a whole session, which is only possible for advanced meditators, we instead shorten our aim by focusing on one breath cycle at a time. This gives us a much more attainable goal while helping us to gradually build our capacity for sustained attention. So let's begin by muting our audio, taking our seats, and getting comfortable. Your hands can be placed on your thighs. Close your eyes, begin to relax while breathing naturally through your nose. And now take a moment to set your intention by reflecting on the importance of your practice. Next, look straight up at the ceiling and take 3 full breaths. And when you're finished, you can lower your gaze. Now, starting at the top of our heads, let's move our awareness down our bodies, releasing any tension we may find. Begin at your forehead, softening and relaxing the area. Move down and soften your eyes, your cheeks, and your mouth. Relax your jaw, your neck, and your shoulders. Relax your chest and stomach while letting your arms rest naturally. Move down and relax your hips and your legs. And lastly, let go of any tension in your mind and rest comfortably. And now, onto our 7-point checklist. Posture, hips, joy, acceptance, equanimity, awareness, and engage. Focus on your breath, switch on, and let go. When ready, silently say the word or mantra, meditating, to begin your meditation. When ready, begin to direct your full attention to your first breath cycle by following the felt sensation of the inflow and outflow of your breathing, while at the same time doing your best to not let distractions draw away your focus. Once a breath cycle is complete, you seamlessly move to the next and the next. Gently set your intention to engage in as many consecutive breath cycles as possible without losing your attention. Do this in a soft, spacious, and non-judgmental way. In this meditation, subtle thoughts are allowed to come and go as long as most of our attention remains on the breath. Once comfortable, you can begin to slow, soften, and extend each breath moment, making them feel as if they could last forever. If you get distracted, simply return to your breath. There's always another breath cycle arriving. slowly begin to come back. Take a moment to observe how you feel. As I recite our meditation dedication. As we arise from our meditation, feel joy from fulfilling our ongoing wish to develop ourselves. May we sustain throughout the day the meditative equanimity that we have cultivated. May our own peace, stability, and contentment extend to and nurture others. May our efforts encourage and support all those cultivating awakening.
Thank you, Tenzin Wangmo. Welcome back, friends. Welcome, Simon. I hope you all had a lovely, lovely meditation. How did everybody like the new uh, meditating on breath cycles meditation? Did you find it beneficial? Miss Wamo?
Oh, what I noticed and what I really liked about it was by slowing down and doing one breath cycle at a time, I was able to see what that moment where like your mind shifts and you go from like I'm concentrating really hard, I'm distracted, and then all of a sudden you slip into that moment of where your single point concentration comes in. And going slow like this, I was able to really see my mind focus changing. Um, kind of in slow motion because we were doing it one breath at a time. So I really like that. Um, and then I noticed that um, in the beginning, it was hard for me. I kept wanting to count. I kept having to stop myself from counting.
Yeah,
But after a while, when you get into kind of relax into it, it becomes a very like slow and peaceful and focused thing, and you kind of lose all of that.
exactly. There's a point where there's a letting go, and each breath cycle begins to lengthen. And it almost feels like one could just last forever. And then those grow into the a perfect meditation moment where the series of breath just seems like it could last. And that's for me is when the feeling of counting falls away because they're too spacious to count, right? Oh, that's lovely, one. Well, thank you. Pasan, would you like to share?
Yeah, this is powerful stuff. It opens up another dimension for me because my busy mind, and it really helps me to sit in joyful presence too, because I had a hard time to do that. And if I use this thing, it comes naturally. So it's very, very powerful.
Wonderful.
So thank you.
Wonderful. David, did you want to share?
Yeah, certainly very interesting. When you described it at first, I thought, oh, this could be world changing. Um, uh, but what I did find, the longest I lost the breath for was maybe a whole breath, maybe not even that, in the whole time, which in a normal
Oh,
meditation I would think was just fantastic. I've never done that in my life. Right? So
yeah.
in terms of continuity, it was wonderful. The what I did notice, though, was that I didn't go any deeper. I wasn't dropping down. I was lovely, and steady, but I wasn't actually dropping down into deeper states of concentration and awareness. Now, this is the first time, obviously, and I'm certainly going to try it lots of other times. But I think
I
that was
think you
sort of the thing
will.
I found.
I think when it's a new technique, uh, there's a lot of conceptualization going on, but I think that as it becomes more and more habituated, and especially when you start getting into these long, uh, perfect meditation moments we talk about, and they become really long, then I think you start to drop in. I think you're probably experiencing that because it's a new technique. Anyways, I'm hoping so.